One of the first things that James says to do is that he wants us to submit. Ooh, submission. That's a word we seem to hate. We really do. We don't like it. It doesn't fit well with us. We don't like to submit. There's a story of a captain of a ship in the fog. And he's looking out the front of his ship, and he sees a light in the distance. And he calls down to the radio room and he says, "Tell that vessel to turn 10 degrees north." So the radio man radios it. And the radio man calls back, "Sir, the vessel has told us to turn 10 degrees south." The captain, taken aback by the fact that somebody would dare to not do what he tells him to do, radio tells him, "Tell him again." Okay, so the radio man calls it out. And it says, "Sir, we got the response. The response is, no, turn 10 degrees south. You turn 10 degrees south." At this point, the captain is very upset. It says, "You tell him that I am the captain of a battleship, and you tell that vessel to turn 10 degrees north." Radio man does it, gets the call back, and the callback is, "Sir, we are a lighthouse. Make your heading 10 degrees north." We resist submission. We resist submitting to things. At least some things. Some things we find it a lot easier to submit to. Children. Don't you love it when your child refuses to submit to you? I'm glad mine submit to me so well. You know, when you tell a child not to do something and they do it anyways. And when you tell them to do something and they don't do it. It's hard, isn't it? Isn't it hard as a parent? I don't know about you, and I'm sure I could sit with some of you more seasoned people who have kids, and you'll laugh at me and you'll say, "Yep, happened to me too." It's tough when our children don't submit. But I gotta think, do we think God feels any differently about us when we don't submit? I mean, do we detest, we detest the rebellion that's in our children, but do we detest the rebellion that's in ourselves? Are we doing what God tells us to do? Are we refraining from the things He tells us not to do? Are we submitting? Because you know what? We need to. Because see, submission is like the instructions on the bottle of medicine. I'm very familiar with these. There's 4 pills I take in the morning before I have breakfast. What's the first thing you're supposed to do according to this prescription? First word. Take. Pill doesn't do you a whole lot of good if you don't put it in your mouth, right? Submission is take. Submission is that thing we must do in order to help us. We must take our medicine. We must take, this is 1 tablet. But God says, submit. James is saying, submit. And you'll overcome. This is the great thing about this part of James. It's actually a good thing. He's telling us this is how you're going to beat it. This is how you overcome selfishness and quarreling and prayerlessness and worldliness, is to submit to God.